According to Assosicted Press, the head of the UN atomic watchdog said Tuesday he will visit Moscow in the coming days to speak with officials about Russia's persistent attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure which threaten nuclear safety. I have from the very beginning of this war, insisted and managed to keep a very open channel of communication with, of course, with Kiev and with Moscow. I've met President Putin several times, Minister Lavrov and the CEO of Rosatom, people from the military and the nuclear regulator. And I think this is essential, International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi told the Associated Press. Grossi also said there were a few occasions where we had close calls, with regard to Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Zaporizhzhia which is under Russian occupation. Grossi did not condemn either side for attacks on the plant, saying because it lay so close to the front line it was hard to determine responsibility. More than half of Ukraine's power is generated by 3 functioning nuclear plants and Russia has increasingly threatened their ability to function. Meanwhile, the Zaporizhzhia plant, which is not under Ukraine's control, in the southeast of the country, was occupied by Russia in the opening days of the full-scale invasion. It is one of the 10 biggest nuclear plants in the world. Grossi visited an electrical substation in the Kiev region of Ukraine Tuesday and said that damage to such key power grid facilities during the war poses a threat to nuclear safety by potentially disrupting vital cooling procedures at atomic plants. Russia has repeatedly tried to cripple Ukraine's power grid, denying the country heat, electricity, and running water in an effort to break the Ukrainian spirit. The attacks have also sought to disrupt Ukraine's defense manufacturing industry. The war has brought fears of a nuclear catastrophe as Zaporizhzhia has repeatedly been caught in the crossfire of fighting, and while its 6 reactors have been shut down for months, it still needs power and qualified staff to operate crucial cooling systems and other safety features. Russia meanwhile has been attacking electricity substations which can also threaten nuclear safety. When substations providing electricity to nuclear plants are damaged or cease to function, Grossi said, emergency diesel generators at nuclear plants become the last line of defense against disaster. And when you have a big nuclear power plant, you don't want to be at the last line of defense, Grossi told the Associated Press in an interview during his visit.
Make it very visible that we are
They do other things. Yeah.
What about infrastructure near the reactors?
No, I can tell you that it's not, I mean, we are very clear, I have from the very beginning of this war insisted and managed to keep a very open channel of communication with, of course, with Kyiv and with Moscow. I met President Putin several times, Minister Lavrov, and the CEO of Rosatom, people from the military, the nuclear regulator, and I think this is essential. The switch yard, normally those switch yards are very close to the NPPs.
And you're confident about that?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. There were a few circumstances. Before we started our operation, there was direct shelling. We had last summer, you remember the fire of one of the cooling towers. You remember this huge cooling tower with this black smoke coming out of it. So there have been a few occasions where we had close calls.
Отримати потужність від атомних електростанцій, перш за все, Західного району, Рівненської, Хмельницької.
The worst, if you ask me, in these terms, could be that the operability of these substations is neutralized completely, so you don't have any capacity to connect them to the nuclear power plants. At that moment, the nuclear power plants is not that they are going to go straight into a meltdown or an accident, but they are going to have to be cooled through emergency generators, like the ones that you may have in a house or in any facility, which is basically the last line of defense. And when you have a big nuclear power plant, you don't want to be at the last line of defense. Not to mention that you may have supply problems. I mean, they need to be fueled. These emergency generators. So you're putting yourself very close to the wall, and you don't want to be there. You want to avoid that situation. So this would be a very, very dangerous position to be.
Mm-hmm.
Protesters marched in downtown Los Angeles and Phoenix to protest President Donald Trump's mass deportation plans. According to Associated Press, the demonstrations were part of the nationwide Day Without Immigrants movement, with people assembling in downtown Los Angeles early in the morning. By early afternoon, some protesters were seen in the Santa Ana area. Later in the afternoon, a group returned to an overpass area by highways near downtown Los Angeles, where they continued their rally. Heavy law enforcement was on the scene in Los Angeles, and the LAPD declared an unlawful assembly at 17:30, beginning to ask protesters to clear the area.